I wanted to start, sister, my question with a premise, and it is that our God created us to praise His glory. And I wanted to correlate this with a verse in the Bible in Ecclesiastes 5, verse 1.
Yes.
It reads, "Walk prudently when you go to the house of God, and draw near to hear rather than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they do not know that they do evil." Sister Maria Luisa, keeping these two things in mind, I wanted to ask you if you can teach us, sister, when we present ourselves before God to praise Him, to honor Him, how can we do for God to truly receive that praise and not maybe be offering a sacrifice of fools, but that God is pleased with the praise we present before Him?
Okay, well, physically, back in that time, when the temple existed, when the temple of the Lord was around and people would go to praise and glorify God, they are given the advice to draw near to hear the things of God, to hear and not to focus on the fools, those who are foolish and that are not sane, those who are not doing things right, not looking at them and their bad example. And aside, if you do, then what you will be losing is, what was the purpose of you going to the temple? It was to worship God, or was it to look at those who are wasting their time and are not focusing on the things of the Lord? So that is what physically, this was the guidance and the recommendation. But today, as the church of God, as it is spiritual, and the Lord's temple is really our heart should be the temple of the Lord. So we need to protect that temple to be ready and prepared for God to dwell in it. And to be prepared, it means sincerity. The sincerity of praising and glorifying God and not focusing on bad testimonies or bad examples of those who surround me. I should not focus on that or pay attention, because that would then be focusing on the foolish, the sacrifice of fools. Back in that time, it was physical. Now today, it's about me living my life and doing things pleasing God and not focusing on the bad examples of those who surround me, that I shouldn't do the same, that I shouldn't say, okay, well, he is doing that, so why shouldn't I do it? Well, he said that, so I'll say it too. He lives that way, so I'll live that way because I see that nothing happens. But no, each of us, we follow our path and we set a good example for others, and we do not receive the bad example of others. Rather, we set the good example and we continue. And if we do see bad examples, I don't pay attention. I continue in my path and I teach them. I teach and I am careful and I make sure that God is pleased with me. This is what I want. I want God to be pleased with me, and everyone else, well, that's their problem. I give them a good example, and if they don't want to follow that example, well, then I'm not going to be your example. This is what we do, and this is what we need to do. We need to pay attention using all of our senses in following the Lord's ways and pleasing God.
Ese es.